following is intended only for mature audiences.
Open your ears and lube up your butthole. It's time for the What Do We Call It podcast. Now, here's your host. It's Jmann. Welcome to the What Do We Call It podcast. I'm Jmann.
And I'm number one fan, Tim.
Damn it! Why are you suddenly doing your NPR voice?
I don't know why.
Have you ever heard of a love letter to a homeowner in the midst of a sale? Real estate love letters, they're called.
I don't know if that's the term I've heard them called. I know that homeowners have left letters for the next coming homeowner, like, hey, this happens here, sometimes this happens when it rains, or, you know, like, instructions about the house, things that it would be helpful to know.
Wrong! Try again, dumbass!
Yeah, no, that's the exact opposite concept.
Exact opposite? Okay,
No.
Then I have no idea what in the hell you're talking about.
Real estate love letters are letters that are written from potential buyers who make offers when there's a bidding war on a property. And they'll write you this long fucking bullshit. Our family has this, and that house fits our needs for that.
My
Oh, and
wife
here's
will
a
suck
picture
your
of
dick.
our dog. I don't think it's like my wife will suck your dick. No,
That's what hey, that would make me sell a house to somebody.
that's not a love letter. That's a contingency. And a good one.
But I would love that letter.
Right. So basically, because a lot of these include pictures of the potential buyer,
Oh, fugly kids.
there is, big fucking shock, a race angle to this.
Oh, good God, really?
Yeah, are you seeing a theme lately with a lot of these fucking episodes?
Well, because everything lately is all about race.
Exactly. It's fucking sickening. But this article that I read that comes to us from Yahoo Finance, which is not where it originated, but it just talks about in hot markets where multiple bidders are jockeying for the same house, home buyers will do just about anything to get their offer noticed, and that includes writing love letters in hopes of making a personal connection with the seller. Now, originally I went, this is fucking ridiculous. We don't need to talk about this as a society. The real estate market is airtight. Houses around my neighborhood sell in like a week flat, if not less. And many houses are going for 20 or 30,000 more than what is being asked.
Yep.
It's fucking insane.
Yep.
The
Mine
cost
was
of
valued
housing.
at $300,000, and I looked at the house like, this place?
Right.
My house. You're kidding, right?
And it's pricing people like me from sizing up to a bigger home where I would have enough room for all of my children.
Well, what you'd have to do is sell, rent till the market goes back down, then take that extra money you got from the sale, then buy a place. You'd have to wait a couple years.
But the rent would be fucking exorbitant, and it would eat away at my profits. That would make it virtually null.
The trick would be to find a place that would be not much more than you currently have, so you don't have to dip into your savings. Something you can afford with your normal paychecks.
Yeah.
That'd be the trick.
Well, one, I don't currently have any paychecks, and two, my mortgage is $813 a month.
Oh, I am jealous of you. Mine's well over that.
Yeah, no shit. So anyways, back to this point here is that these people include photos. And what they're alleging is that it's keeping black families or families of color from getting into houses versus being stuck in rentals or apartments because everybody that owns a house is racist and doesn't want black neighbors.
Okay. Who the fuck is coming up with that?
Real estate attorneys and realtors.
Jesus goddamn Christ.
Yeah. It's fucking ridiculous because Oregon is the first state to ban the practice. Starting in January, a real estate agent must reject any communication that would reveal the buyer's race, color, religion, sex, sexual orientation, nation of origin, marital status, or familial status.
Isn't that already in the books?
Technically, yes, but not banning any... Like, you can't reject based upon that per se. You could come up with some other bullshit reason. But they're saying that these letters or any sort of communication that would reveal that about them, lest you get an old white person that doesn't want to sell their house to a family of blacks or Asians or Latinos.
I will sell my house to whoever's going to pay what I'm asking. Don't give a shit what they are. They could be aliens from outer space for all I care.
So we are not impeding on their freedom of speech or written communication. We are limiting transmission of communications that are not relevant and could potentially be breaking fair housing laws, as stated by Democratic Representative Mark Meek, the Oregon lawmaker who sponsored the legislation.
Wrong! You're limiting free speech, you fucker.
Fair housing experts say that these love letters create bias, even if it's unintentional, because they tap into that desire to sell your house to another family that's like my family. That kind of makes sense, but let's just back this up here. It's my house. I want to sell it to who I want to sell it to. The market's tight, and I would like a family to live here, not a bunch of young 20-something dumbasses that are roommates and are going to party constantly and contribute to the shrinking classroom sizes around here that have led to schools closing in the district. It's happened twice. So let those types live in apartments and townhouses. This has been a family-driven neighborhood for years, and I say that with no racial preference towards potential buyers. Are we going to start limiting who you can sell your car to next?
Okay, I have a mixed-race buddy who's been trying to find a house. And as far as I know, and I'm going to ask him to try this. I'm going to tell him about this. Go, write a love letter. Send a picture of your beautiful... He's a fucking biker-looking dude, you know. Yeah. He's got the fucking hair, bitch and beard, you know. I should tell him, send a love letter. Maybe they'll actually accept one of your offers. He's not getting into bidding war, so if they won't take his initial offer, then he just, whatever, I don't care. So,
well, this just seems to be one segment of our life where governance is not needed. Now, I understand the need for fair housing law to make sure that people that build new houses can't discriminate against who can buy the houses in an effort to keep the neighborhood segregated. But if you're selling your house, why the fuck is it anybody's business who you sell it to? Let's just say, for example, that I sold my house to somebody of Middle Eastern descent that said some very disparaging things about America, but he paid me $40,000 more than I'm asking. I'm going to take that offer, even though he's measuring every room to see how many sets of bunk beds can fit in them. And even though he's hanging an Osama bin Laden poster in the kitchen and an ISIS flag in the garage, I'm going to go, this is $40,000. That can really help me. And by the way, I'm going to call you into the FBI afterwards, but fuck you. I'm going to take that offer. I don't give a shit. Let him pray 5 times a day and try to force Sharia law on all the neighbors. That's not my fucking problem.
They're not your neighbors anymore.
They're not my neighbors anymore. But also, in a sense, if you care about your neighbors, you don't want to sell your house to shitty people. As long as it doesn't become like a gap of like 10 or tens of thousands of dollars.
I know the previous owner of my house told the neighbors around the circle that when they were selling, it's like, oh yeah, we met this nice family that had like 7 or 8 kids, like Indian family, and the neighbors were like, oh, okay. He was joking the whole time. He knew I was buying it.
If I was moving, I would want to be considerate of my neighbors, and I think that's what everybody wants. Ultimately, you have no responsibility to sell your house to good people.
I mean, you're leaving. Whatever happens, happens once you leave.
Yeah, and these aren't like you own 6 houses here and, well, sorry, fuckers, deal with it. Oh, wait, I'm your landlord. And no matter who you sell it to, even if you pick the storybook family from the letter that seems so great, what goes on behind closed doors is a far cry from what people let you see. Just look at Facebook with everybody's happy, smiley, lovey-dovey bullshit and perfect lives and pristine pictures of their family and their Sunday best. When there's calamity going on at home, they're not going to show that shit. So you could sell your house to the fucking Ozzie and Harriet types, and he beats the fuck out of her all the time, and the kids cry themselves to sleep because they're sick of seeing mommy get tuned up by daddy when he's drunk after work. It'd go anyway. But again, I don't think that you need to sit there and police who the fuck I can communicate with.
Like I said, it's limiting free speech. They won't let you communicate. That's not necessary. So
let's say you got like a dealership, right? And you got the guy that is the salesman. And it's funny because white people, he always gets them to buy the nice new, used, or new vehicles. And the minorities come in and he's always pushing them towards the used crap. That's going to stick out and you just fire the guy. What you don't do is make a new rule across the entire industry where you have to wear a blindfold the whole fucking time and they can't say their name. They just have to be referred to as customer A and customer B. And there's no personal information talk. It just seems like they break this shit down like we're all so fucking prejudiced. We might have some biases, but we're not all raging racists or sexists or homophobes. It's fucking ridiculous.
It is.
Basically what Oregon is doing is trying to make sure that everybody has a fair playing field and that minorities have the opportunity to buy houses. I'm not against that. But it's when they step in and they say that, there could be some no-goodery afoot. There's this fine line between trying to enforce fairness and then the other side of the coin where you're basically accusing everybody of not having the scruples to be fair.
Like, what's this real estate agent basing this off of? Did he have a colored couple looking to buy a house and it got rejected? Because the people he was looking to sell buy the house from were like, we don't want to sell to them. They don't fit the neighborhood demographics.
I'm sure that it's happened, and that's probably part of the reason for this, but I'd just like to point out that I did some research, and Oregon is 86% white, 13.4% Latino, and 2.2% black.
Is it really? Wow.
Now, is that because that black people don't want to live there, or is it because they've been kept out?
Probably because they don't want to live there. Oregon is not a urban state? I don't know.
Portland is a fucking liberal douchebag utopia. We know this because of the piddly fucking riots they've had that caused tens of thousands of dollars in damage compared to the millions that were caused here. So it may to some degree have a few people here and there who don't want to sell their house to a person of color, but that could be said for anywhere. By and large, Oregon's seen as a haven for white hipster liberals. And I was also thinking, perhaps part of why there's such a low black home ownership in Oregon is because of it being so traditionally white, so people of color don't want to move there and be the only black family on the block. It seems like a reasonable assumption there. But look at the way immigrants lived in pocket communities of their own nations of origin when they first came here in the late 1800s and early 1900s. You had your Italian, Irish, German people.
Yeah, they left the Italian section and stuff like that. They don't have Little Italy and Chinatown because nobody of that descent lives there. That's where they all went to live, to form their own community.
Yeah, to have a little piece of back home in the new world.
Yeah.
Okay, so people still try to stick to their own in some regards. I mean, we're a melting pot, sure, but once you see a few families of one national origin move into a neighborhood, you may see more than there ever were because they tell their friends, I live here now. Maybe their family members move there now. And you will see the cultural demographic shift seismically, where you get this mindset of, the riffraff's moving further out into the suburbs. Now we're moving from the suburbs to the exurbs. As the stereotype goes, is that Whitey picks up his wagon and wheels it further away.
I don't know the demographics of people moving out into Wisconsin in the Grantsburg area, but I know somebody I know talked to a realtor out there. They made 80 lots in this whole new developed area, and they sold within a matter of a couple of weeks, and it was all people from the Twin Cities trying to get the fuck out of the Twin Cities.
Yeah, I'm not shocked by that.
I'm not. After last year, I'm not surprised at all.
Also, when I was a social worker, I had this guy, he was from the Deep South, and he wanted to move back down there. Even though he hadn't lived down there for 25 years, he wanted to go down there to, quote, be with my people, is what he would say.
Okay.
He wanted to stick with his own. He's like, I like you, I can talk to you, but a lot of white people look at me and they don't treat me right. I will say that he had a huge chip on his shoulder in terms of race that he didn't need to, or he had a cognitive disability, and he took offense to fucking everything. There's so many conversations we had where he's jumping the gun and starts shouting at me. I'm like, stop. Tell me what you think I just meant. And then I'll tell you what I actually meant and how you totally zigged when I was zagging. That shit happens. But further to my point, melting pot, right? This neighborhood where I live now, I would not be shocked if there were maybe 2 black families 30 years ago. There's a little of everything. Hmong's behind me, African next to me, whites on front and the back of me, a mixed race couple next to me.
That's kind of what my neighborhood's like. We actually got a fair number of Asians in my neighborhood, and a few black families couple blocks down. I mean, it's a bit of a mix.
The end of the street is another couple where a guy is white and his wife is Asian. Across the street from them, it used to be a white couple, now it's Asian. Next to them, it used to be Asian and now it's Mexican. I have no problems with any of these people here as long as they keep the neighborhood quiet and safe and they don't party constantly or bring shitty friends around that have guns and drugs. I don't care about that shit. So I get what they're saying with these love letters, but it's your house. So you should get to pick. And if a family writes you a letter saying, we're trying to get out of this shitty situation. This neighborhood seems perfect. We've researched the schools. All of that applies. So if somebody were to write me a letter and I'm selling my house, and their offer comes, we'll say, $5,000 under the top offer, and they're a family. The top offer is some dude who's going to need a couple of friends to live with him to afford the mortgage, but it's his first house, and he's been living with his parents. Guess who I'm going to fucking sell to?
I'm going to guess the family.
Yeah, because that swing set's coming with the house, and he ain't going to use it. I don't need him to drunkenly break a leg trying to go down the slide in the middle of winter with his friends while they're having a fucking beer bust here. Now, he might eventually knock some girl up and ruin her life and decide to, stick it out and help raise the kid and then have her move here, which sounds ideally like my situation with
The Beast.
except that she ruined my life. But anyways, I would rather sell my house to a family, and I don't care what color they are. Unfortunately, there are people that think like that out there, which makes it problematic. So, well, this does seem like a bridge too far to say you can't communicate in any way, and you can't let them know, your race, your sexual orientation, your marital or family status. You know what? You can try to stamp out racism, sexism, homophobia, all that shit, all you want. All you're really doing, instead of changing minds by forcing it upon people, instead of talking to them about it, is you're just further driving them down a rabbit hole.
Yep.
Where they will curl into a ball, nest in that echo chamber of people with similar mindsets, and go hang out in Parlor and talk about how they hate the darkies.
Oh my God!
That's the kind of shit that is really going to happen. So I get the point of this, but it seems like more unnecessary law.
This micromanaging doesn't need to be done.
Interact with the show on Twitter at What Do We Call It? That is at What Do We Call It? You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/What Do We Call It Podcast Show. For the What Do We Call It Podcast, I'm Jmann.
I'm number one fan, Tim.
And that's the end.